Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. So it has been pretty highly requested that I make a video discussing my experience with pregnancy so far. I am almost halfway through. I am 18 weeks and let me tell you, it has been an experience. I want to start with a disclaimer and say that this is not the experience that everybody has. Every pregnancy, every baby, every body is completely different, and one person's experience does not determine how yours is gonna go. So that being said, if you want to have kids, if you want to be pregnant and haven't yet, if you are pregnant and are going through a lot of the same things that I've gone through, just know that everybody is different. But I also don't want my experience to scare people away or make them think that, oh, just because mine was this bad, yours is going to be as well, because it just doesn't work that way. If you guys are interested in hearing about my experience with pregnancy so far and the things that I wish people would have told me beforehand and just how I've gotten through the past 18 weeks, I would love it if you guys would stay tuned. Let's get into it.
Every single day I'm gonna make something great. That's my way. Every single day.
So I have a sheet with notes, so if you see me looking down, that is why. To start off, I found out that I was pregnant probably about 5 weeks. I'm a little bit confused with all the dating and everything because I was tracking it by my last period before, and then I got my ultrasound done and it was about 4 days off of what I was tracking it as, so that kind of threw my whole system off a little bit. But roughly I found out about 5 weeks along, and then after that everything was kind of going good. But even before that, like I explained in my previous video, if you guys haven't watched that, I will link it below, but like I explained in that video, I missed my period by about 2 weeks before finally deciding to take a test. Before that, I had mentioned to a few friends that I just felt off and didn't feel like myself and something was just weird, but I wasn't nauseous. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And then a few days before taking the test, my hormones started going crazy, and to the point that me and other people actually started to notice. For example, we had friends over and they started bickering with each other, and without warning, I just told them to shut up or get out of my house. And everybody in the room at the time looked at me and was in shock because I don't typically say stuff like that, and it came out of nowhere. So a few days later is when I finally decided to take a test, and obviously it came back positive. It was quite the experience. I had no idea how my boyfriend at the time was going to react, and he reacted super good, actually, and came and laid beside me in bed and said that he was excited. And then for probably a week after that, he would cuddle my belly every chance that he got. So he was really excited. He still is. So after getting the positive test, and other than just the mood swings, I didn't really have any other symptoms up until probably about 8 weeks. And at that point, I threw up for the first time, and I also had my first ultrasound at that point. And after that, everything started going downhill quite quickly. It was me throwing up daily at this point, and oftentimes multiple times a day, like up to 8 or 10 times a day. Every time I tried to eat anything, I would throw it up. Every time I tried to drink anything, I would throw it up. Anytime I moved, it felt like I would throw up. So for the majority of my first trimester, I ended up just staying in bed because getting out of bed or moving or anything else just led me to throwing up even more. And it was driving me crazy. Around 10 weeks, I ended up hospitalized, not overnight or anything. It was long enough for them to give me an IV and get my fluids back up to where they needed to be, because I was severely dehydrated from throwing up so much. And by that point, I had lost about 20 pounds, and this was only in a matter of about 2 weeks. So it was pretty scary. I didn't really notice at first how much weight I was losing until my pants started not fitting me. They were getting baggy on me. Everything felt too big, when in my opinion I should have been going the other way, and it was really difficult. My family doctor, was the one on call at the hospital that night, and it took him 3 times looking at me to actually finally recognize that it was me, because I had lost so much weight and he hadn't seen me like that before. After going into the hospital, they gave me an IV and some Gravol medication through that, and at this point I had already tried 2 separate medications that were supposed to help with the nausea and vomiting, and both of them ended up just making it worse. So after the Gravol seemed to help through the IV, they prescribed it to me as a pill, and since then it's been doing better than the other 2, and it's the only thing that really does help for me. I think one of the other things that was hardest at this point in time was because I had lost so much weight. I was a pretty fit, skinny girl to begin with. I'm also 5'9", so tall, skinny to begin with, and one of the things that devastated me probably the most was every person that I saw, every person that I interacted with, especially if they hadn't seen me in a while, every single one of them would point out how much weight I had lost. And this was very hard to hear. The first few times I didn't really think anything of it, but when it started to be everybody, almost every interaction that I had, it started weighing heavily on my heart, and I felt like for some reason that I was doing something wrong. It eventually started to get better, but I didn't look healthy. Everybody was telling me how I looked different, I looked too thin, like unhealthy thin, and as much as I wanted to change it, I knew I was trying, but every time I tried to eat anything, it would just come up. And I was shocked that people were really noticing, because for a while I didn't. That was stressful, and it was something that I was not prepared for. Nobody ever told me that there was even a possibility that I would lose weight in the beginning, especially not 20 pounds. I also never thought that I would cry over my clothes not fitting properly, because they were all loose on me. They were all baggy and didn't fit properly anymore, and there was quite a few times that I would cry because there was nothing that I could do, but I felt like I should do something. Plus, with all the hormones running through me, it was pretty hard not to cry. By about week 14, things started getting better. I was able to keep more foods down, and I noticed myself starting to put on weight. It was mainly just in my belly. So my pants were still loose on my legs, but they were tighter on my belly, and it was just uncomfortable at that point. But things were starting to get better, and I started noticing my energy levels increasing and being able to get out of bed and do things. I started being able to feel like myself sort of again, but at the same time I didn't. And being enrolled in hair and makeup school and wanting to get through it, and honestly wanting to finish it before this baby came, I was shocked and really thrown off when I couldn't do it and like couldn't do anything. Every time I tried to do my makeup, my face and my skin was so sensitive that it almost brought me to tears every time that I would try to put my makeup on. And if it wasn't the sensitivity of my face that got to me, it was baby brain. I would pick up a brush and I would look at it and then I would forget what I was supposed to do with it. And it made me really upset that my makeup looks weren't turning out the way that I wanted them to. So I basically just gave up and said that I would try again later because it was frustrating me, and it was another thing that I never expected. I never expected the sensitive skin part of it, and I never expected that the things that I was most passionate about in life would make me feel wrong for wanting to do them. It's definitely still even a learning curve and something that I have to get over and retrain myself for. I'm still shocked when I try to do something that I used to love and everything in me tells me that I shouldn't be doing it. It's a really weird feeling. I know it's still me, but it does not feel like me. And I never thought that doing makeup would be a pain, but I'm looking forward to my energy levels continuing to climb and hopefully getting back into doing makeup. Moving further along in the second trimester, actually, this one needs a little bit of backstory too. So I have had bladder infections and kidney infections and just issues with that pretty much for my entire life. I had my first bladder infection at the age of 4 and then had surgery when I was 8 because they were reoccurring between that time. And after surgery I was still struggling, but by the time I was 17, well, I don't know, somewhere in my teens, I started to ease off a little bit, and then it came back and started coming back stronger. And it was more so kidney infections than bladder infections, but it was rough. But having them so commonly beforehand, and then with the weight of the baby on the bladder and the frequent urination during pregnancy and everything else, UTIs are often common in pregnancy anyway, so I feel like I'm just gonna continue getting them. At about week 16, I was over at my parents' place and I was talking to my mom, and I told her I'm starting to get the back pain of kidney infections again. At this point, I didn't really think anything of it until about a week or 2 later, and I noticed a little bit of bleeding when I went to the bathroom, and it was excruciatingly painful to pee, and I felt like I had to pee like every 2 minutes. And it was so painful that it actually made me cry a couple times. It was at that point I decided to call my doctor, and he put me on antibiotics. For having them this commonly, I've learned secrets of how to kind of get rid of them on my own. So I've gone through probably about 12 liters of cranberry juice since finding out, or since experiencing this pain and everything else. And honestly, I swear it's one of the only things that helps me through life. Cranberry juice is one of my all-time best friends, and it's great because nobody else likes it apparently, so I get to drink the entire jug to myself and I enjoy it a lot. That brings me to this week. I am 18 weeks today. Everything so far is going good. Next week I have my ultrasound, which is the anatomy scan, so it's a mid-pregnancy scan, and hopefully at that point we will find out the gender, which I'm getting my mom to reveal it for us, which is going to be super exciting. So that is basically my experience so far. It has not been easy, but I try to find little things that I love about it every day, and now that I'm starting to feel the little flutters and kicks and press on my belly and feel this hard lump, that is the baby, and I can feel where it starts, where it ends, and it's still very magical. I want to explain that me sharing this is not coming from a point of being like, this pregnancy is the worst, blah 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 blah, and it's not that I'm not happy to be pregnant. I am absolutely thrilled, and I know that there are so many people that struggle to get pregnant or can never get pregnant, and it's heartbreaking to even know that some people that dream of being a mom their entire life never get to fulfill that. And I am so blessed that I am able to carry this child and to be a mom. But I also think that it is very important to discuss the hard parts of pregnancy, because there's so many people that told me that it wouldn't be that bad, that it was the most magical time of your life, and I was extremely underprepared when I got pregnant, and it really threw me off. And not to say that I wasn't excited that I was finally going to have a baby, but I was not excited that I had to go through this, especially before I had a little bump or before I could feel the baby moving. It almost all seemed for nothing at that point. And I don't want to come on here and just complain about everything. That's not what this video is for, but I want to share my experience so that other women that may be going through a traumatic pregnancy experience, that it is okay to talk about it, and you don't have to be thrilled for every moment of it. There's times that I just want to sit and cry because this is not what I was expecting. And there's times that I have said to my boyfriend or to my friends or my parents or whatever else that I just want it to be over. I want this baby out. I don't want to be pregnant anymore because of how bad it has been so far. Now that it's starting to get better, those thoughts come less frequently, but I still think that it's important to talk about them. And I think there's such a stigma around always being positive and always celebrating the life that you're creating, and I don't mean to take away from that at all, but pregnancy is hard. And I think there's a lot of women that dance around the fact of how hard it is because they don't want people to think that they're ungrateful or think that they aren't thrilled to have this life growing in them. But I think that it is very important to share the whole experience and not just the good parts, because I know that I am not the only person that has gone through a pregnancy like this. I know that I am not the only person that has struggled tremendously through pregnancy and just wanted it to be over and wanted that baby to be here already. I hope that me sharing my story has brought a little light to how pregnancy can go, and if you are going through something similar to me or my experience with it, or if you know somebody that has been struggling with pregnancy, share this video with them. Let them know that they are absolutely not alone and that it's okay to feel let down by the expectations that they had for pregnancy, because I know I was. Like I said, it's important to share your story and to connect with others through that. Also, I feel like after that video of me ranting a little, I should show you guys the baby bump. Like I said, I am 18 weeks today. There's that. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and enjoyed learning a little bit more about my pregnancy and how it's gone so far for me. I would love if you would comment down below and let me know your experience, how pregnancy went for you. If you know somebody that is pregnant right now, share this video with them because it could help them. They could be struggling even more than you know, and having somebody else share their experience and talk about it could be a thing that makes them realize that they're not alone in it. So don't forget to share if you like this video, hit the like button. Like I said, comment down below. Let me know of any other videos that you want to see from me. I have my ultrasound next week, so hopefully a gender reveal will be coming soon. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to join my journey, and I'll see you guys in the next one.